Let's try that again. There we go. Good morning. Good morning. What's up, folks? How's everybody doing this morning? JTW back Thursday, December 12th. Hope everybody is doing well. What's up, Navy Plum? Good morning to you, buddy. Hope you're doing okay. Sorry I was not able to do the stream Tuesday. I kind of had something come up last minute that created a schedule conflict that I just could not avoid, and unfortunately had to bail on the stream. So my apologies for that kind of last minute change in plans there, but I will try to make sure that that happens as infrequently as possible. So we will, excuse me, kind of get my voice warmed up here this morning. I should probably start doing some vocal exercises before 8:30 or something like that. But we are getting ready to dive into some things here. We do have some trade plans to catch up on that we posted on Sunday in the options watch list. And then we'll get through some new trade plans that we'll work on this morning. We'll do a little bit of ES analysis, kind of talk about what we should be expecting as we head into the end of the year, and what should we be doing to get ready for 2025, which is right around the corner. So with that being said, let's dig in. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, thanks for joining again this morning. Please make sure to post in the chat, say hello, say something, just check in, let me know you're here. Hope everything is going well. And again, my apologies for missing the stream on Tuesday. So let's go. Let's talk about ES. Then we'll get into our trade plans from Sunday, and then we will keep on moving with our live stream to do some new trade plans. So if you are watching and you have any trade ticker requests for those trade plans that we're going to work on this morning, please feel free to go ahead, start dropping those in the chats. And we'll get to those ASAP. Let me just check something. The audio stream's current bit rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. I think everything looks like it's good there. I've got Mike there. So yeah, if anybody on the YouTube side of things is having any issues with the audio, please say something. Let me know. Just got a weird little note there on YouTube saying that the audio bit rate seemed low or something like that. So anyway, we're going to keep pushing on here. So what are we looking at here on ES? We're seeing things start to slide a little bit. We're going a little bit sideways. We're consolidating. We've seen some volatility off some good economic data yesterday. That kind of pushed us back up into a retest of this ascending trend line that we've broken down below. So a little bit of a back test is what that looks like here. Also hitting this previous, what was it, an all-time high back in early December for ES, and we worked on some fib extensions off of that. We're seeing that same all-time high back test and reject. We do have a higher all-time high here, but that same level from that previous all-time high, back testing and rejecting. Things leaning bullish for the most part. But we are seeing some momentum kind of start to fade a little bit. And I would say that's pretty typical. If we look at December from a seasonality standpoint, you start to see profit taking as we head into year end. What's up, Alex? Good morning. Hello. Hope you're doing well. We do tend to see some profit taking, some pullbacks, and then some repositioning for the quote unquote Santa rally, which tends to lead us into the Christmas break and carries us through the end of the year. And then we see kind of what January has in store for us and how 2025 wants to start. What kind of tone do the markets want to start the year off with? We'll see that in a few weeks. But overall, do you have a Discord group? Yeah, we've got a Discord group. It's called Xtrades. I will make sure to, before we wrap up here, this morning, Alex, I will make sure to post a link so you can find it and join and check it out. It's definitely a great place to start to cut your teeth if you're getting into trading and build up your skill set amongst a group of people who have similar goals, right? I think that it's an important thing to have that sort of community support, especially when you're starting out early on. There's a lot of people who've maybe been doing things or have been trading for, maybe 6 months, who can answer, kind of simple basic questions. And then obviously have folks like myself who have been doing this for years and years and have, I think, developed a pretty deep set of technical analysis skills who will try to help you find out and figure out exactly how to make money and build a system and strategy of your own, right? That's the goal at the end of the day, is to not become, sort of a cog in the wheel, but have a strategy of your own that helps you kind of execute and find success on a consistent basis and keep those wins big, keep the losses small, all those little buzz phrases, catchphrases that we use here on the FOMO live stream. So yeah, if you want to get into swing trading, we also, when you join Xtrades, and I'm sorry, I'm answering a bunch of these questions, especially for folks that are already in the Xtrades Discord, but Alex is asking a couple questions on the YouTube side of things. Yeah, we've got a sister server, a crypto specific server. So I'm pretty sure, as long as nothing's changed, if you join one, you actually get access to both. So yeah, certainly I will make sure to post a link before we wrap up this morning, so you can come check it out. There are free trials and a whole team of folks that will help you kind of get acclimated and up to speed with everything that Xtrades and Crypto Traders has to offer. So with that being said, let's get to our market analysis, or back to ES here. Again, we're seeing things kind of slide sideways a little bit. We're seeing some pullback. Again, I would say seasonality wise, this is sort of expected. We'll take a look at this on the hourly. We are kind of seeing a pretty decent dip this morning back into this 200 SMA. Things still bullish buying pressure though underneath here on NTS. The 60-68 level I think would be a pretty key one to watch. As long as we hold that range down to about it looks like, call it 60-59. As long as we're holding that range, and actually now that I'm looking at it, Neptune's kind of got it right there at 60-58. As long as we're holding that range, I think it looks good to maybe start buying up this dip a little bit as far as the markets are concerned. Obviously, if you've got individual tickers that are still running really hot, make sure that you're not chasing those trades. Wait for pullbacks, be patient. Don't. I know we call this the FOMO live stream. It's because you should, be worried about missing the live stream. But one thing we don't want to encourage is FOMO trade entries while we're doing this. In fact, that's the one thing I kind of try to coach against, right? Just be patient, or look for other tickers, look for other setups, look elsewhere. Just because something has made a big move doesn't mean it's time to get in. Doesn't mean it's not time to get in, but again, as long, you got to have a plan, right? So make sure you've got a plan no matter what you're doing. So anyway, looking at things here overall, again, I'm still, things look bullish. Overall, we're bullish. I think we're due for some pullbacks, especially on some specific names and in the markets in general, or at least some consolidation, with which, if we kind of look at sort of this broader range here, that's what we've seen for the past several trading sessions, is just sort of a broad range consolidation going from left to right, from the all-time highs down to this 60-41 level. I would say, we're kind of holding in that pattern and moving up and down within it. So that's what ES looks like. Again, I think we will see some pullbacks that should be a good setup for a Santa rally. We're kind of seeing a little bit of that this morning. And again, getting bought up and holding above the 200 SMA here on the hourly on ES. So all that stuff looks pretty good. All those indicators look pretty good. So let's take a look at our trade plans that we did. Members selected trade plans from over the weekend. AMD, this was one that I did go in. I did mention this in our Discord community. I've said, listen, this one's kind of already made the move right here this morning. Essentially what happened is the analysis played out wonderfully. And unfortunately, at least from an option standpoint, it played out during a period of time when, there wasn't much we could do about it from an options perspective. So here we see the break below our put entry there at 137.16, back test, all that selling pressure catches up, sends us straight down to PT3. Saw some buying happen right off that PT3 level, so not surprised there. That's why it was our third target for the downside trade plan, as that's where we expect buyers to step in and make a move like that and buy it back up. However, it just got bought back up for a back test of PT2, consolidated below his resistance, and has since pushed lower and quite lower. Now we see it trying to break through, trying to reclaim this 200 SMA, but overall 200 SMA, 333 here on the 15-minute, both in a pretty good downtrend. We're in that selling pressure. If we could reclaim the 200 SMA, we could see it try to push for maybe another test of 134 on AMD, where we've got that 333 SMA coming up and going to add some confluence right there at that exact spot here before too long. So, be watching that as a potential back test to either A, enter puts, or B, if we do get things to hold, I would say over this 130.31 level where the 200 is sitting here on the 15 minute. If AMD can get bought back up above 130.31 before market opens and hold above it, we could see it make a push for that 134 level in that next confluence. So there's a window of opportunity there before we have another big test of selling pressure and resistance. So, but overall, AMD trade plan played out beautifully. All downside targets hit. Oh, you know what? I just realized I also should probably take a look at last Thursday's trade plans as well. And we'll recap those because we didn't do a stream on Tuesday. So I'll add those to the mix also. But AMD all downside target hit again, maybe a buy the dip opportunity if it can get bought back up and hold above 130.31 this morning. Uber played out to the downside as well. This one actually did give us an opportunity for entry. Let's get over here to the actually 5 minute was a little bit of a better perspective on this. We did see going into pre-market here yesterday, candles starting to close below. Then we see back tests and rejections. We see the SMAs overhead adding that selling pressure, curling to the downside. They're inverted with the 200 below the 333. So all of that kind of leads toward selling pressure, and that's what ultimately happened. Pushed straight down to PT1, tried to hold there, ultimately flipped that to resistance, back tested and pushed down below PT2. Never made it quite to PT3, and then got some good news. I think there was some news out of some issue that they were having, I think, with their drivers in New York or something like that. I didn't get too far into it, but I think essentially something got delayed for a year. So I think probably some kind of a pay structure or something like that. Again, I have not read into the issue. I only caught the headline on it. Had a nice little spike on Uber yesterday evening, but ultimately it is pushing back to the downside, really struggling with this SMA combo here with the 333 above the 200 and really struggling to reclaim that 333. So the selling pressure is there. We also have a confluence of selling pressure there at 63.43. If this 62.07 level gives way, we could certainly see Uber pull back at least to the low of the week here at 60.24, which we saw yesterday, or potentially all the way down to PT3. So keep that on watch. Uber looking a little bit bearish at the moment, but again, kind of some positive news catalyst there yesterday. Again, if it can get over 63.43, I see opportunity for it to push higher. If it loses 62.07, I see opportunity for it to push lower. So keep an eye on Uber and those key levels. You've got the rest of the levels here on my chart, and these will be available. You'll be able to come back and rewatch the stream once we wrap up. If you need to track any of these levels or mark them down on your charts and set alerts on those levels. So you know when it's time to look at the chart and be ready to take action. That is the best way to make sure that you aren't missing trade setups that you've identified. Use those alerts to your advantage. Last but not least, from the member selected trade plans over the weekend, we had MU, another one that played out really nicely to the upside here first and then pushed back to the downside. I'm going to lock my drawings here just for a second so I don't accidentally drag anything around. So, yeah, we saw it play out to the upside. Got to PT1 there on Monday after we posted this plan Sunday. Opened, rocketed above, hit PT1, came back tested that call entry level, also that key buying pressure on Neptune. SMA is just below, so lots of support all in that little range right there. That's a nice confluence bubble of support just below and a great buy the dip opportunity that ultimately pushed up overnight to PT2 plus and then absolutely just plummeted on Tuesday. Back test broke below our put entry, back tested that as resistance and pushed down to PT1 for puts and has recovered since then. So I know I've said this several times for those of you who've been joining these streams for a while. I'm going to say it again. Sometimes PT1 is all we get. Make sure that you are taking some profits and moving your stops up, and especially consider whether or not you want to be swinging contracts based on kind of how those reactions to those price targets look. Because ultimately it would have led to a stop out on any of those remaining contracts. And then we see a nice break above, back test that confluence right there with the 333, stop loss average down at 164. Is trying to push higher since then. We got the 200 crossing back above the 333, so a nice bullish cross there. we could see this upside trade plan try to give us another setup. We've got confluence right there at 102.08, key selling pressure on Neptune small time frames. We've got a key level from our trade plan there. So if we can get back over 102.08 and confirm a break above, I'd say the upside trade plan goes back into effect from my personal perspective. So those are your trade plan recaps. I hope those are helpful for those of you watching in Discord or watching on YouTube. Please give me some ticker requests. Let me know what you want me to do some trade plans for this morning. I am going to find real quick those trade plans from last Thursday's stream, so we can take a quick look at those since we didn't do a live stream on Tuesday. Let's see, those are the SPY plans, member selected tickers or trade plans. And we did Rivian and SOXL and Broadcom. So let's take a look at those real quick. And then I'll get to those new ticker requests. So again, start dropping those in the chats, whether you're in Discord or YouTube. Let me know what you want me to do some trade plans for this morning, and we will get to those. So ABGO, we had SOXL, and I think we saw, I don't think, I know two of these trade plans already played out. We had one that was kind of still in a holding pattern, hadn't really done anything in either direction. What was the other one? Rivian. All right, so let's take a look here. This was our Thursday live stream levels. Why does that look off? Thursday, December 5th. Oh, but we did it okay, yep, nope, I'm good. I don't know why I thought that looked off, but we're good to go. All right, cool. So we'll start with Broadcom. Broadcom made a nice move yesterday on news that they were partnering with Apple to do an AI chip. But if we go back to our live stream plan, we did this one Thursday pre-market. Friday gave us the confirmed break, right? We got the break above, back test, held as support, hit PT1, hit PT2, got up to this next daily level, so that kind of stood in the way of it getting all the way to PT3. Came back tested some levels of support before it ultimately pulled back here on Tuesday. And then, like I said, yesterday we saw it make a nice move there pre-market with that announcement of the partnership with Apple to get into the AI space. So Broadcom looking pretty strong on that news, but ultimately this was how our trade plan played out right here last Thursday, or really last Friday, but the trade plan from last Thursday. So I wanted to go ahead and recap that one real quick. SOXL, this one's played out to the downside. So we had 2 for Tuesday, I think last week, as far as we went 2 for 2 on our trade plans there. This one we did last Thursday. Let me move this over a little bit. Again, we were waiting for a much higher entry up here as far as the upside trade plan, but that never played out. We got ultimately downside, consolidated below, and played in this selling pressure area between the put entry and the stop loss before ultimately on Tuesday, strong rejection taking us all the way down to PT2 and then down to this next daily level at 26.54. We never got to PT3, and we do see some things looking to build back toward the upside. 200 crossing back above the 333 and the 333 SMA right here at 28.19, which is a good weekly support for SOXL. So trying to hold that. If it can hold that, we could see this try to push back up for 29.57 to test that put entry level again, like we saw going into the close yesterday. And then over that, obviously more upside opportunities become available. But so far, again, 2 for 3 on last Thursday's live stream plans. And then last but not least, Rivian, which puts us at 3 for 3 from last Thursday. So I think we went 5 for 5 last week. We had both of our Tuesday trade plans played out directionally and hit targets in the direction that we got confirmed entries on. And then Thursday we had 3 plans, again, depending on waiting for the break to choose the direction and then playing for the targets. Here we see Rivian hitting all of our targets and then some, getting an even bigger push here on Monday before ultimately going sideways and seeing some pullback here. Starting to get a little bit of a bearish lean to it with these SMAs trending to the downside and being inverted with the 333 above the 200. But again, ultimately got all of our upside targets. We might have even talked about this being an extension target up here at 1479. I hope we mentioned that. I certainly have it flagged on my chart here as one that I was watching. That seems to be where we ultimately rejected from. And now we see Rivian trying to hold this 1361 weekly level as support. So that is a recap of all of our trade plans. Again, 5 for 5 last week. I don't know what else I can do to make you all want to keep coming back for these live streams and getting this great intel and these great trade setups that you guys can go out there and just crush trades and make money with. All right, so let's get to some new ticker requests. We've got Amazon and Meta from Trading Dad. What's up, Chris? Good morning to you, buddy. We went 5 for 5 last week. 2 for Tuesday, 3 for Thursday. Upside, downside. We got entries. We got targets. We doing our thing. All right, so let's take a look at some of these ticker requests we've got this morning. Folks on YouTube, don't be shy. I've seen Alex in the chat. I see we've got viewers watching. Not seeing any ticker requests from the YouTube folks, though. So, I mean, you can just hang out and lurk. That's okay, too. But if you want to get some input on what plans we do this morning, now is your time to take advantage. Use the opportunity. All right, so Amazon and Meta. Amazon's just been absolutely cruising. Let's take a look at Meta as well. Just kind of get a sense of where these both are at real quick. We'll kind of pick the better setup. Old fib extension there that I don't have mapped out. Okay. Let me take a look at Amazon. Zoomed out a little bit. What's up, Skater? Yeah, I saw your friend request and DM. I will respond. I promise. I just haven't done it yet. Old fib extensions hitting there. Okay. Man, both of these are on a big run. New all-time highs. Let's go with Amazon. And if we get time trading data, I will circle back and do Meta as well. But I want to kind of spread the love and get some other people's ticker requests in as well. So let's see how we can try to make our way through these trade plans. Let me just clean this all up real quick. All right, cool. Not going to get much on the weekly level or weekly chart from this. Again, prior fib extensions from, I probably hid that. I don't know how long ago I drew those fib extensions, but those seem to be hitting pretty well now that we're getting into some of the further out fib extensions. Seeing less accuracy, which isn't all that surprising. Again, we're trying to project untested support and resistance levels, so that's it's kind of a best technical guess versus using price data, price history to figure those things out. We are going to want to mark off this all-time high here for our next set of fib extensions. That should put us right about there. So 231.16. Yeah, not a lot of support and resistance built up on the way toward this all-time high level that we're hitting. That gives me a little bit of concern as far as if Amazon does start to pull back, it could pull back quickly. So keep that in mind. Bit of a fair value gap kind of situation. If you're looking at higher time frames, smaller time frames, I'm seeing where it's built some levels a little bit. Not many though, that's for sure. Take a look at one more thing. I don't normally get into like the 15 and 30 minute when we're doing these, but that's interesting resistance, but really not anything else. We'll see if that winds up setting up a confluence with any of our fib extension levels that we're getting ready to do. So let's take a look at those. So if we're looking at this push to all-time highs, we probably are looking at something along those lines right there. I would like to see that. You know what? Let's shift this. Yeah, that's a little bit more of what I was hoping we'd see, is some more testing right before we hit that. Let's see if we shift this just a little bit. Yeah, that's probably about what we're looking for. Okay, so let's get our fib extensions in here. I won't be surprised if we get very close to having a confluence with that. No, I'm sorry. I thought it might pop up down there, but it's pretty close. Maybe gives us a little bit more clarity on where we want this hourly level to sit, which is maybe just slightly lower than where I had it, but that's okay. All right, so this is what our fib extensions look like. And clearly, I mean, you know, just based on what we have to work with here, we need to break this all-time high. First target, 235.18. I think we're just gonna 1, 2, 3 this to the upside. I mean, there's really no other way to do it when we don't have any historical price data to work from. A lot of times so I'll throw this out there if anybody wants to maybe take a more aggressive approach, although I don't know if, you know, with things kind of at all-time highs right now, and on a strong upside move, if being overly aggressive to the bullish side makes sense, because we are kind of a little bit overextended, pushing a little bit hard to the upside here. So one thing that I'll throw out, if you wanted to swap PT2 from the 50% up to the 61.8 and go from 235 to 241, a lot of times, especially on that first pass through, I feel, and this is again a bit anecdotal, but I would almost expect to see, you know, something like this. If we get the breakout, right, we test this, maybe we come back. But what I would ultimately expect to see is this 50% wind up testing as support, and we get more of a direct move up to the 61.8. So that's kind of an alternative, maybe overly aggressive approach to where our price target should be. But again, I like to always stay conservative, make sure we're booking those profits. We can always move them into the next trade. We don't want to get too greedy on these plans either. So I'm going to leave it at those being 1, 2, 3 price targets. But again, if you want to, you know, adjust the plan and you're sitting here paying attention, congratulations. You are probably going to make some money with this one, but also you will know that there's an opportunity to flip the PT2 from 238.36 to 241.45 and then shoot for PT3 at 245.84 at the 78.6. Stop loss average down here at this old fib extension, but it's a fib extension that has seen some reaction already. And it does look like a decent move to the downside potentially opens up below 228.53. So I think that makes for a good, albeit tight, stop loss average down level. To the downside, I like the confluences that we're going to break if we do get below 225.27. So we're going to use that as a put entry. I think we can share stop loss with the upside trade plan. I think we can also shoot for, this is an iffy level. So do we shoot for 222.09 or 220.03 as our first target is the question here. 220.03 has actually seen some tests as both support and resistance. 221.99 is kind of a iffy placeholder. You know, is this level going to play out? I also want to make maybe a slight little bit more of an adjustment to the downside there. I'm going to go with the level that we've seen play out both ways, and we're going to shoot for 220.03. Maybe I'm shooting too far and we should be looking at 222 essentially, but it's just, you know, I like to see things that have already tested both support and resistance versus just resistance alone. And we could easily pull all the way back to that support. I think that's there's a case to be made for that too. So that's what we're going to go with. Let's take a look here. Got very close to this fib extension previously. 200 SMA coming up to it just below. So I'm going to say let's shoot for 216.31. Second price target. Third target. Yeah, these old fib extensions actually are going to be useful for this downside play. And also got a potential confluence coming up right underneath there with the 333. So, all right, not bad. I think we've got sound logic in this trade plan. Oops, didn't want to do that. Let me hide these real quick. Let me also real quick just mark down 12, 24 fib extensions. I'm starting to mark down when I made these so I can see, okay, well, we're hitting extensions from 6 months ago or whatever the case might be with accuracy. I like to see that sort of stuff. So anyway, personal thing there. All right, let's go. So this trade plan looks like this. Downside here. I think pretty good risk reward starting out on both sides of this trade plan. All right, so try to get this so it's going to be easy to see where the levels are and which ones you want to watch. All right, Amazon live stream plans coming at you. Let's talk about them. And let me get this over in the options watch lists. All right, so what are we looking for here on Amazon? We are looking for a break over 231.16. I believe that is probably the cash set. Well, you know, 231.20, close enough, right? Looking for a break over that 231.16 level to play for continuation to the upside and start shooting for some new all-time highs at our fib extensions with targets at 235.18, 238.36, and 241.45, and a stop loss average down at 228.53 for the upside trade plan. Again, remember you could flip that PT2 to being at 241.45 and potentially shoot for 245.84 as your PT3 if you want to be aggressive. If you take that approach, make sure you buy plenty of time on your contracts. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 225.08. That should bring targets at 220.03, 216.31, and 212.03 with a shared stop loss average down with the upside trade plan at 228.53. Those are your Amazon upside and downside plans. Let's go. VK wants to take a look at Tesla. And Chris, yeah, I've actually been looking at Lunar in the background, and I would like to do a trade plan for it. So I think that's a good request as well. Let's see if we can't knock out Tesla and then get to, and we'll try to take a quick look at UNH as well, Skater. All right, so Tesla, and I think what I've got on here, because this is all-time high for Tesla, but I've got pre-split support and resistance levels from last time Tesla played out through this range. And if we take that into consideration, there is potentially something there at 241. I'm sorry, 427.86. Where did 241 come from? We are seeing some struggles there. All right. So my question is, and this is something I've never done before. Typically, when a stock splits, I go back and kind of rebuild the chart from scratch. It is interesting to see how Tesla is playing through these levels still, even though they are based on pre-split price action. You know what? Let's take a look at one thing. This will be an interesting exercise. We all might learn something here. We'll see. Let's get this cleaned up real quick. So what I want to look at out of a sheer curiosity is this our trend? I think the answer is yes. So if we take this trend-based fib extension and map it out, to right there, does this give us, I'll be damned, it does give us the confluence I thought we would see. So it's a little bit higher than that, actually. Probably right about there. So I've got both these levels just a little bit off, but again, these are not surprised they've been nudged a little bit, especially over that amount of time since the last time Tesla was in this range pre-split. It doesn't catch that confluence at all. But that's, I think, okay. And again, we could have, well, we could also be looking at, all right, let's see what this looks like. Pretty close on some of these levels. All right, so what do we want to do here is the question. All right, let's go for it. We're going to take a shot. If Tesla can break out, I mean, at least we'll have a plan with good targets in mind. 441.22 first target. Be interesting to see if anything happens at that 446.60 level. Tesla, I think, is very overextended at the moment. So this one, I'm definitely going to stick to the 1, 2, 3 on those fib extensions being the targets and not kind of making that shift of the 61.8 and the 78.6 being our PT2 and 3. It's a very quick potential flip of support and resistance right here that I will take a look at on some smaller time frames. Yeah, flattened out right at that, came back and is back tested it as support this morning. We could potentially, let me take a look at this 15-minute. Nah, yeah, we got that confluence right there on the 15-minute. I'm going to stick with that being our stop loss average down. All right, so upside trade plan sorted. Let me hide these. I'll go back and mark up the date. So that's our 1, 2, 3 targets to the upside. Again, I'll be interested to see if these old pre-split levels play out. So I'm just going to kind of watch them in the background. Downside. Where does downside become interesting? We may need to take a look at, let's see what happened when Tesla made that last push through this area. Well, that's definitely going to wind up being a price target for sure. Entry is the only thing that I'm a little on the fence about. Kind of thinking maybe this 413.34, depending on what we see here on the current price action, it's going to be what? No help there. Let's take a look. We are on the 4 hour. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, that's about what I was looking for, actually. All right, we'll take a shot at it. It's kind of thin as far as how many tests we've seen at this 413.34 level. I do like how that sets up that confluence there on the hourly with PT1 though there at 402.92 that we caught off that historical price action. Neptune key buying pressure right there as well. I like this 393.65. PT2, PT3 might actually be a little bit lower. Yeah, I'd be willing to take a shot at, again, make sure that you're moving your stops up, taking profits along the way, but I think there's an opportunity to see 378.47 as our third price target. So this is what our Tesla trade plans look like. Oh, okay, there we go. All right, here we go. Tesla live stream plans coming at you. And there, and of course, options watch list. All right, and I saw can we have some stocks like Tesla which are 90% times? I don't think I understand your question there, VK. But we did do Tesla for the trade plan there, but 90%. Are you saying, like, should you be holding Tesla in your stock portfolio? Is that the question? If you give me a little bit of clarification. Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think any of the Mag 7 are good to have in your stock portfolio, but I would also say, you got to be mindful of where you're loading those positions. Apple can be slow sometimes. Apple can move fast sometimes. Not, even Tesla, right, moves slow or has, or it can move fast. It moves fast up. It can also move fast down, right? So, you kind of have to gauge. That's why, diversification is important. I saw a couple of folks talking about that a little bit yesterday. I think, having a number of different positions. So when one stock is either A, moving slow, or B, pulling back, you should ideally have other positions that are moving to the upside, right? Or moving quickly while, maybe one of your other positions is just consolidating. Yeah, it's absolutely important. I mean, because you don't want to ever put all your eggs in one basket. If you're just talking about buying stocks and holding them and having them in your portfolio, absolutely. You want to spread that out. I would say, look at Mag 7, get something in the chip sector, get something maybe in the crypto sector, whether that's coin or some of the miners or, or some of the ETFs that are, the spot Bitcoin ETFs, stuff like that. Get some dividend stuff in your portfolio. And I would say get a mix of kind of aggressive high yield dividend and kind of more blue chip, have been around forever, like Coke, AT&T. Those would be good examples of like names that have been around forever that pay a steady dividend. They're not going to send your portfolio to the moon, but they're steady earners, right? So you kind of want those sort of doing the grunt work in the background, and then you've got your other positions that might ramp up your portfolio value pretty quickly. The other thing that I personally do, at least with kind of my active portfolio, I kind of have a passive portfolio that's just literally I just continue to buy and hold and build up positions. And I have an active portfolio where I'm kind of doing the same thing, but I'm also selling contracts, whether that be cash secured puts or covered calls, and trying to do that strategically to kind of further generate revenue from that portfolio. So yeah, definitely all things to think about. If you have any questions, if you want to get deeper into that stuff, feel free to, shoot me a DM. I'd be happy to talk about it, or ask in the questions channel. That might be another good place to do it. Just make sure you tag me. That way, everybody benefits from any knowledge that we share in the process. So, all right, but yeah, hopefully that's all helpful. So let's take a quick look at lunar 916. Oh boy, but I do think lunar is probably going to is wanting to give, it's giving me dip buy vibes. So let's take a look at this. Can I do it in short order is the question. Because I have been wanting to take a deeper look at this now that it's finally pulled back some after that big move to the upside. Holding VWAP on the weekly here, that's interesting. All right, let's take a look at this on the daily chart real quick. See if we can spot some levels like this one. This, I think, purple level was maybe a fib extension at some point. I don't know, but that daily level looks much better than where I had that. Actually, I don't think these are fib extensions. I'm not sure why I had those color-coded that way. This is an interesting resistance point, but not confirmed. Not anything confirmed yet. Make that yellow so I don't lose track of it. Ooh, look at this, holding right at the key buying pressure here on Neptune, holding at that 1130. Yeah, this could be, as long as 1130 holds, buy the dip on lunar. That's what it's kind of looking like. Yeah, there's something sitting right in there here on the 4 hour. Where I feel like there's a level in there. It may not be a 4 hour level, or maybe it is actually. Could be right there. 1219. This was kind of an iffy level. Still mostly resistance. All right. Yeah, it's pretty much just been resistance at this 1311 level. So I'm going to keep that on watch. Do have a couple of SMAs hanging out up there. All right. So this is going to be a little bit of a different approach, but Chris, we tend to do well with these, my friend. So what I'm looking at here is going to just be a one-sided buy the dip plan on lunar. I would personally recommend approaching this with shares. You can do it with options as well. I like it as a buy as long as we're holding over 1130. Got to give it some room to work out, so we'll have a stop loss average down at 1032. First target, start taking some profits here at 1311. Next target, yeah, up here at 1430. Last target, yeah, right here at 1559. So this is going to be our lunar buy the dip plan. Let's see if we can have another 3 for Thursday. But I think lunar's probably ready. I think it's ready for another push. It's consolidated. It's pulled back. It definitely had a pretty wild run to the upside. So this is our buy the dip plan. Copy link. And then I'll try to take a really quick look at UNH for Skater. Watch list. All right, so yeah, the lunar by the dip plan is as long as we're holding over 1130 pre-market, you might want to even give it a little bit of time to see if we get a quick test and some support reaction there at 1130. Try to buy the dip as close to 1130 as you can, as long as we're holding above it. We're looking for targets at 1311, 1430, and 1559 with a stop loss average down at 1032. My personal approach to this will be to buy the dip and to then sell some covered call contracts probably at that 1311 mark. I'll go ahead and sell some, see what I can get for $15 calls a little bit out. If I can get like a, more than 60 cents of premium on those $15 calls that I'm going to sell, that puts me in a good spot to fully realize that 1559 profit target if those $15 calls do go in the money without really leaving anything on the table. So that's going to be my approach. If the shares get called away, that's fine. If they don't, we just probably collected some decent premium and have a great starting share price. So that's kind of my thought process there on lunar. And then real quick for Skater, and then I've got to get to work on the SPY plan. UNH, he thinks there's a buy opportunity coming up. Let's see. I don't know. It might not be ready to buy the dip yet. Let's take a look at... That's not looking great. That's, well, I'd be watching this 333 here on the 24-hour chart. If it can pull back above 530.75, and I would say even better confirmation over 532.75, could be a buy the dip opportunity on UNH, but if that doesn't hold, yeah, there's some, potential that this prior resistance holds as support, but below 526.74, I certainly wouldn't want to be holding bullish positions. I think that opens up a lot more room to the downside. So I know that's a quick take analysis on that for you, Skater, but I do need to go get this SPY plan together. I've got 7 minutes to do it before we get into market open. So with that, I want to thank you guys for joining me again. My apologies for missing Tuesday's live stream. I do plan on being back next Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with that, I want to thank you all for joining me, for spending some time with me this morning. I hope you'll come back next week. Until then, as we always say here on the FOMO live stream, plan your trades, trade your plans, keep your wins big, keep your losses small, go out there and get some green. I will see you guys in the chats, and I'll see you back here next week. Take care. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.